Hello, 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 hello. Okay. So, trade recap, right? Trade recap. So, at this time, right, we are currently up for the week, right? $694 in just 2 days, right? 2 days. So, really, really good. This trade right here was, I would say, like an A plus trade. This trade, although we did come out in profit, 385 for the day. We did lose one position, right? And I'll go over it right now. Um, Overall, I think I'll give myself like a C plus. Although we made more money than yesterday, right? Although we in positive in profit, I would still grade this like a C plus. Why? Let's talk about it. Let's break it down real quick. So this trade was on UJ, right? So pretty much caught this move right here. This is the move. It was 1, 2, 3, 4. These four pushes right here. These four candles. So let's talk about it, right? First entry, right? Actually, we're kind of on the H1 on this. Once again, I have all these lines. I don't even remember what time frames are all on, but whatever. So we're actually on the H1, right? And we actually entered here. And we pretty much had about, I don't know. I don't have the exact. Let me just turn it on for the sake of the video. Trades on chart. Trades on chart. Settings updated. There we go. So actually this candle right here, not here. So we had two entries here, right? Two entries here. We end up then pushing, right? So let's talk about it, right? I came late to this, right? As you can see, this is where we should have been at, right? And this is pretty much the move we should have been at. We should have caught this push, exited out this pretty much trade, and let one trade, right? So one thing I want to focus on is trying to add on as many positions as possible. I want to try at least three, right? Three positions. The reasoning for that is because, so I'm always going to try to leave one position, right? So again, my thing is I'm going to try to, for example, if this was that push, right, and we had three entries, these were the three entries, let's just say, and again, these aren't just random three entries that I'm just pressing buy. I have to have reasoning. That's why I'm trying to aim for three, right? Because I'm trying to have at least three reasonings for this push here, this bullish candle, right? Or even right here. Three, right? So for example, once we get to this area here and we see that we have exhaustion, we see that we might pull back a little bit, this is where we would close this out, right? Maybe on this exhaustion, maybe on, I don't know, maybe on this lower high point right here. The fact that we form a lower high point, right? This is where we probably close out. And then leave one, right? And that would be, because again, we don't know this. Here in this example, cool, like it didn't push that far. But again, we don't know that, right? We never know what it's going to do. So before this, it could have came down all the way down here. It could have came down maybe even to this wick. And then once we hit that wick, now we're in drawdown overall, right? So again, reasoning for the three entries is so that I can take profit, and then if it wants to pull back, it could. I'll have the lot size for it. Even if we go in drawdown, right, we won't be affected because it's not like we're in drawdown with three positions. We're only in drawdown with just one position. So it changes the game, right? It changes the risk to reward. It changes the lot size. It changes the margin level. Changes all that, right? And again, at the end of the day, we close with profit, right? We close with profit. That's what we want. So that's what it's okay. Based off what I just said there, in this trade, I should pretty much close out. I had two positions, right? Boom. This is where we get to. I technically should have closed out both positions. Why? Because that was that push. And not only that, this was actually like, I actually went to sleep during all this. Like right around here is when I went to sleep. I had put a stop, right? I had put a stop loss, like I think right here under this wick here. And I just called it a day. In reality, it should have been under here. But again, I didn't want to lose that much money, right? So there goes that. Like I was playing it too safe. I ended up getting stopped out. Just one entry. Or just one position, sorry. One position gets stopped out. So now I am, as we can see here, let's go to close positions. That's where we lose. That's where we lose. Here, $96. Well, technically 104 based off the fees and all that stuff. Right? So again, lose. But again, I understood the overall move. I understand the current move. I understand everything, right? So this is where I re-entered, right? So if we go based off this M5, I had waited a little bit. That was that there. These were my entries here. Good entries. Good entries. Literally based off that higher low point, right? Same thing here. I had entered in, and it was even before this right here. It was like somewhere here I entered. Right before it pushed up. Because we entered, and then next thing you know, shot up. And then we're pretty much in profit right away. Right? So then, again, unnecessary. But again, in reality, we got a better, I guess, better positioning, but we ended up losing money. Right? So that was just uncalled for, not needed. Yeah. So again, it was just uncalled for, unneeded. And again, I stopped out. But luckily, when it stopped me out, it was just like right away I was able to get another entry. Took it, and next thing you know, we end up pushing. Now, reasoning for my take profit was because we started showing, even just a little bit before here, we started showing a little bit of exhaustion, which is this bearish candle right here. What was this here? This is pretty much the candle that I exited actually before the close of this. And again, understanding structure, yeah, but at the end of the day, I understood that I was at this H4 exhaustion level here. So even though we're showing exhaustion, I go down to lower time frames to see what that is. It's a big bearish candle, but it was just exhaustion, right? But then I jumped down to like the 32nd, I think it was, or even, yeah, that's what this was on the 1 minute. Big exhaustion. And then next thing you know, I closed out within this candle. I was like, okay, cool, we got exhaustion. I'm not worried. We can maybe see some type of push to the upside. Cool, right? But we didn't. Pretty much closed. Next candle completely dropped, right? So this exhaustion pretty much did scare me, and I got pretty much just exited out. Which again, it would have been maybe, I don't know, could have made maybe 500 more, maybe 600, right? That's what part. I think I closed out with what, 3 total? What was the total? 385. So yeah, I probably would have been, if I would have held to the max. I would have held to the max. Probably would have made a good $500. Right, but again, it's not even about the matter. It's not even about that, right? Yeah, probably a good $500. It's not even about that, right? It's not. This was good, right? This was perfect. That's what we pretty much needed, right? And then now at this point, say we had 3 entries, right? Like we did, back to what I was saying before. Say we had 3 entries, cool. This is where we could have, say for instance, like this here, right? Could have closed out 2, so these 2 would have still been my profit, what it is now. And then I can still hold this here if I think that, you know what, I can still think that we can get a nice push to the upside, right? And then start pushing a little bit more if I think that's where we're going, right? Which at this point, it's kind of iffy, right? I think that we are, maybe we can get a little bit more of a wick. We're at that level there, so it's kind of trying to see where we're at. I don't know. I think we can maybe pass a little bit more, maybe like an exhaustion, like a crazy wick, like I just said, and then push the downside. Maybe, right? Right now we're hitting the MAs. Who knows, right? Again, definitely, I think we can see another push, maybe another buy opportunity for me, and then see if we can hear. But again, we tested here, But we pretty much came to this level. We rejected that level, came back down, came back up to that level, and now we're rejecting it once again, right? So that doesn't really tell me that, you know what, we could potentially be breaking that, right? But again, at this point in time, it is creating like a ascending triangle, right? Which then can just drop. And again, back to my previous video where I was saying that I know this can drop anywhere between these levels or this level. It can drop anywhere, right? So I think that that drop could be coming pretty soon, right? Pretty soon. By the looks of it, this is that daily candle here. Cool. Yeah, maybe we can get, maybe within a day, maybe within 2 days, and then see some type of drastic drop. And yeah, so I am pretty tempted into. Here's the thing, I do see this dropping, right? We can get to exhaustion. I don't know whether or not I want to buy this position here. It looks tempting, right? We got the MAs, but I think max it would be here, right? So it'd be pretty much the same thing, like trying to just re-enter this position right here. See if we can get that. But I don't want to be too stuck on that, is what I'm also trying to not do, right? I want to make sure that I exit that out and I'm ready for the sell move. Because now also on just based off structure, higher low, higher high, higher low, and now this is pretty much starting to form like a lower high point here. And that's what we want, right? Because again, daily, just daily getting a bearish candle doesn't really do us anything, right? Again, back to one of the rules, right? If structure is based off this structure, if we're basing structure off this time frame, then that has to be one of the confluences when we try to sell, is structure, not a candlestick analysis, not engulfing. It has to be some type of lower high point, because again, that is the time frame, right? It's showing us this structure. So if this structure forms a lower high point, then that's when that lower high point has to now, or can potentially make a lower low point, right? So then at that point, we're just switching structure now. So now it's just a potential lower high point. Can we make the lower low point? You know, and that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it based off just UJ, right? UJ's been pretty smooth for the most part. Pretty smooth for the most part. Higher low, higher high. No. So that's that, right? Back to back days in profit. Really good start. This is the best start I've had since ever, honestly. But I gotta continue to do this, right? Again, C plus trade, right? It's not even the best trade. That's what I should have done, right? So going back on things that how this should have came to be, right? As H versus push, right? So this push here, I should have, like I said, closed out, boom, leave one position. This should have been my second. So in reality, I should be having at least 2 positions. Well, technically, we ended up getting the second, third one. So I should have 1 and then 3 more at this level here. I can be closing out 2 and leave this one, or overall just close both, or all positions, right? And then I'd be in so much more profit. Now we're pulling back, and technically we're still good for the push up, right? We're bugging MAs, already starting to see exhaustion, right? Like these are things that this can even be like a little. This can be like a little head and shoulder, right? Left shoulder, the head, but the head would be the wig, so I don't know, and then potentially a little push up. Very intriguing trade right here. So that's the difference, right? We could have came up with A plus if we had 2 entries to open right here at the lowest point and at these higher low points. That would be, I'd be considering this to be an A plus trade. So these are things that we just gotta work on, right? Again, we gotta understand the move, understand that. Yeah, just understanding the move. That's the biggest thing. Understanding the move. Alright, so at this point in time, we do have this kind of going on right here. Let's see whether or not we can continue to push either up and get another leg to the upside, or just kind of stay here, consolidate. I could also see that, right? I could also see maybe like a doji, us consolidating around this area, and then us just trying to catch like a lower high point. But that's that, right? So now GU, I have not traded GU. Let's actually take a look at GU. So for the day, it actually also pushed it a little bit down. Right here, actually, we could be at a good position right now as we speak to take this. Let me actually start. Let's highlight this a little bit. So based off this little boom, boom. Mm. Okay, so I'll just insert this position here. So I tapped the button right after this engulfing here, but did not click. So I actually insert on this one here, putting my entry a little bit above, but that's okay, it's okay, it's okay. That was that push there. Just trying to catch this push here, right? So as of now, could we have waited a little bit more? I mean, we could have, right? But at the end of the day, I think that that was just that one entry. Cool. Maybe here we can maybe find another one. Now we're kind of pushing up to a little bit. But this would be nice, right? Trying to find another position around here. Having that second lot somewhere here. Should I be patient with it? And once we do, I mean, again, we're within this here, so it's not much. Even if it retraces, this is where it'll retrace. Now for it to pretty much retrace beyond here, is that something that might, I mean, we could, right? As of right now, we kind of have this little weak. This is kind of where I'm at, right? I'm pretty much saying that at this level, we're not really able to break this level. And that's what we're trying to catch. It's pretty much just push up. We are already at 100%, so that's pretty much that. I think stop loss right now is 166. Anything more, maybe like this, like 144. I mean, that's what the trade is, right? That's what the trade is. The trade is. And it's not really the stop loss, it's actually more right here. But again, we can get some type of crazy wick here. Something that's kind of what I'm preparing for. At this point in time, it's just more so about being patient with this here. So now we have this next candle here, which is on this candle, just pretty much this here. So again, we're looking pretty good actually for another position based off the fact that we're not breaking this level here. We try pushing up here, boom, push back up. And this structure here, again, M30 candles, because that's what the move, right? So again, it's M30 candles based off the overall structure itself. Eesh, this is the crazy move. So we understand that the structure itself, right, is pretty much lower high, boom. This is where we're at. So this is all just creating a higher low point, because the lower high point, try to push here, and now all these candles are just lower time frames. But us understanding that at this support level, we're not breaking, and now we created somewhat of a support. This was actually a really good buy opportunity. But now that all right, let me just be patient a little bit. The spread is not helping at all. Let's be patient with this move. I don't mind entering another position if we can get that other position. Right at this point in time, yeah, we're creating higher low points, yes. And we're still pretty much, this can be still considered like a little push for that little, like here, like we're still kind of pushing maybe within this candle. So even just if we're not breaking, boom, right, we can pretty much see a retracement and then try and catch that retracement. We would need to see a higher low, or it's just going to continue to push from here. But again, entering off just these levels here is not bad, right? Because again, this is all within this candle here. So that's that, right? Gonna try to see if we can insert another position here.